Today's Academy lesson is on the swing cut. We're going to cover different ways to exploit the swing cut to make it a false cut, and also different ways of forcing a card using the swing cut as a base. Now, I do want to continue on the series of taking moves that are otherwise simple and expanding on them and stretching them to the maximum capacity. And the swing cut is one of those simple moves that you would otherwise look at and not think much of just because it's a simple cut. All you're doing is cutting the deck. However, you could exploit the swing cut and you could use it for tricks. You could use it to force cards, and we're going to go over about 6 or 7 different techniques to do that today. So the swing cut, for those of you guys that are unaware, is you pick up the deck with your right hand. You're going to use your forefinger of the right hand to lift up on approximately half the cards, and that is where the swing takes place. Now your right hand is going to come in and accept these cards in the crotch of the thumb. So you're going to take these cards over here, put them in the right hand, and then finally drop the left hand's cards over it. It looks better if you use the crotch of the thumb. People tend to pinch the card because they don't have adequate control over the cards. But trust me, just pinch the card between the thumb and the crotch of the, the forefinger, just in the bottom, and complete the cut. And that is the swing cut. Now, this false cut is something that I've seen used by Doc Hilford. However, it goes way before him, and the cut looks a little bit like that. It just simply looks like you're taking the deck and cutting it almost in an overhand style. However, you're using a swing cut to initiate the action. Now, what I like about this cut is that it just looks haphazard enough, and the orientation of the cards is different enough that the spectators really think that it's a genuine cut just based on the nature. And it's not pretty. It's not a pretty cut, but I think that's the point of what makes it false. So for this, what you're going to do is you're going to swing cut the cards into the right hand like we discussed before. Now, the only difference is that instead of dropping this half straight on top, you're going to use your finger in the bottom to swing this packet to the right, almost like a Herman pass. You're going to swing it to the right and use these cards, also swinging them to the right, and just drop that below. What that accomplishes is that it leaves the deck in the same position. However, it does look like the deck is being cut. So you could just drop it like this and put the deck back face down. If you want, you could drop it and pick the deck up like that. However, the false cut is something that you should play around with different ways to handle it. Ultimately, you're swing cutting the cards to the left hand, turning everything over, and just dropping that half back on the bottom. So it's a very deceptive false cut, and it's a very nice in the hands false cut, which is also good. So this next one is more of an optical illusion than anything else. It's another in the hands false cut, and it uses a swing cut. It looks a little bit like this. So this is just exploiting the fact that the swing cut looks like this, and the false cut looks like that. So the spectator sees similar actions to the swing cut take place. Usually this is done engaging the spectator in conversation. However, it's a very deceptive in the hands false cut. So the mechanics on this one is you're going to do the same thing. You're swing cutting the cards. However, instead of using the crotch of your thumb to take this top half, what's happening is that your fingers are taking the bottom half and allowing this top half to scrape on this lower half. So that's all that's happening. You're swing cutting. You're taking the cards with your fingers. So you're taking the bottom cards with your fingertips as you let this half fall and scrape it on the packet. That's what allows the move to be deceptive and look like you're genuinely doing the same action as a normal swing cut. So one more time, fingertips take the card, thumb scrapes, packet scrapes, drop the packet. It's very deceptive false cut. So the card face up, it looks a little bit like this. That bottom packet is being taken in the thumb crotch, much like the top packet would in a normal swing cut. However, for this variation, the bottom packet is what's being taken into the thumb crotch, thus completing the false cut and adding to the deceptiveness of the move itself. The next one is a false cut to the table, and it looks a little bit like this. So that to everyone should just look like you've cut the cards. However, the deck has not moved 1 inch. So you have the Queen of Spades on top, and of course, in that action, the deck is still in the same position as before. So this is very, very simple to do, and will form the basis for a couple of the forces that you're going to see in the later half of this video. So you take the cards in your left hand. You're going to pick them up with your right hand. You're going to swing cut, take the cards into your thumb crotch like we talked about before. Now you're going to tap the packet, squaring it up. I've seen people do some sort of a monkey action with this. You don't want to do that. You just want to do one light tap to square up this half, drop it on the table, and then finally drop this half back on the table. If you want, you could square it up, which adds to the illusion. I like to stagger the deck as well. So when you stagger the deck, it just adds to the credibility of the shuffle. So the spectator thinks that this is the original top half. However, because of the nature of the cut, the Queen of Spades is the original top card. Queen of Clubs is the original bottom card. And nothing ever changes, but it looks like a wonderful little cut. And again, taking advantage of that stagger really adds to the illusion, making it look like you've genuinely cut the cards. So one more time, swing cut into the left hand, tap, drop, pick up this packet and drop it on top, and you could square up the cards and thus completing your false cut. A very deceptive way of not adding much work to the cut, however, making it more deceptive in the spectator's mind, is maybe you want them to pick the position of where you start. So what that means is you want them to cut the cards, or you want them to determine the position of where you start the trick for whatever reason. Some tricks might warrant that sort of necessity. So here, you're going to riffle through. You're going to have them call stop anytime they want. Let's say they call stop over here. And you're going to do the same exact action. So you're going to swing cut at that position. You're going to do the same mechanics. However, this time, because of that riffle, it's a little bit more deceptive, and the spectators get the perception that the cards have been cut in the position that they stopped at. So in this case, they call stop, stop, swing cut at that position, and say we'll start where you want it to start. So in this case, you know, something like that. This could go into a poker demonstration. But ultimately, nothing's happened with the cards because you're doing the same false cut that we just previously discussed. Now, an in-the-hands force that you could use with the swing cut is very, very deceptive, and it's almost based on the same principle as this. So you're going to have the spectator call stop. They call stop there. You swing cut the cards at that point. You have them look at the card, memorize it, and of course, that card has been forced, the Queen of Clubs. So for this, is the same exact mechanics. You're going to riffle up. You're going to riffle down. Sorry, you're not riffling up. If you riffled up, I'd be very impressed, honestly. But you riffle down. The cards, they call stop anytime they want. At this point, you swing cut the cards, tap it much like before, and this time, you're going to show the spectator the bottom card. So, of course, you're going to engage the spectator in a conversation, have them call stop anytime they want. So, sir, okay, right there, you sure? Now, usually, people tend to forget cards. Please don't forget the card. Go ahead, remember that. Now, I added a little bit of a John Bannon touch there. John Bannon, what he does is that after this thing, he just lets the deck rest for just a moment as he tells the spectator something, just for them to forget the orientation of the cards, and shows it that way. I love that. The original force is something like this. They call stop, and you just show the cards. It works effectively. However, if you want a little bit more deception to it, you could do that bit where they call stop anytime they want. You swing cut the deck at that point. You rest it there. Say, I want you to remember the card. Please don't forget it. People tend to forget it. So go ahead. Remember it. Perfect. And you force the bottom card. But it works just as well if you have them call stop. You swing cut the cards, tap it, and then show the bottom card. It works just as well. But that just adds a little bit more of a layer of deception that the spectators are likely to be taken advantage of because of the orientation of the cards. So either way, you're forcing the bottom card. They call stop anytime they want. You swing cut the cards, tap the packet, show them the bottom card, and then say, remember that card, please. Or you could have them call stop, swing cut the cards at that point, say, please remember the card, and do the same exact action. And of course, you have effectively forced the bottom card. The next one is very, very similar. However, this time you are taking, again, advantage of the orientation of the cards and forcing the bottom card, but this time in a turnover fashion. So for this, you call stop anytime you want. Swing cut the cards at that point, and of course that card is the force card. This is great when you want multiple cards picked because in one action you could force multiple cards on the spectators, and there's a double backer. They don't see the back design of the cards, which is great, and you can take advantage of that for certain tricks. So this, again, very simply, riffling through the deck, they call stop, swing cut at that position. All you're doing is turning this right half over, thumbing over this card, and putting it on the table. That's all that's happening. If you want, you could even put it on this half, out jogging it, and restore the deck to this position where it just seems like the card came from the middle. So one more time, the force card starts in the bottom of the deck. They call stop. You swing cut the cards at that point, turn over your right hand, thumb off the card, and at that point, you have completed this force. A very effective force of the bottom card. They call stop anytime they want. So in action, it should just look like that card came from the middle. You're trying to emulate this action of just turning over that card. However, by adding a swing cut, it really doesn't seem like you're adding anything, but it's everything you need to do to actually accomplish the move. So riffling through, swing cut, take the bottom card, and that is the force of the bottom card. In the same way that force actually works for the top card. So you could have them call stop anytime they want. swing cut the cards, and out jog this one, saying, please remember the card. I don't want you to forget it. And in that action, you force a top card. Same action as before. This time, you're using a top card. We'll use it face up. So they call stop anytime they want. Swing cut the cards at that position. You're going to push it up, out jogging the card. Show it to the spectators, tell them to remember it. And then at that point, you could score the card in the deck, have them shuffle it, do whatever you need to do. But ultimately, you're doing the same actions, exploiting the properties of the swing cut, and this time, forcing the top card. What a great little move there. If you want, you could add that little tap edition as before, or even the John Bannon edition. Show them the card this way, and it's the same exact thing, but you're forcing a top card in this position and taking advantage of the fact that the swing cut really breaks the spectator's perception of where the packets are. So it's kind of a weird thing. It's a visual sort of oddity that the spectators are unaware of the orientation of the cards. So when you add that, it really is a deceptive move. So that is the force of the top card. So that is different applications of the swing cut. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys get something from that. But you see that the swing cut is a very useful technique, and it could be applied not only in false cuts, but also very, very deceptive forces, and all from just that one simple action of swing cutting the cards. So think about different moves where these same principles apply, that you guys see a move, you guys learn it, and that's it. You want to make sure that you exploit every move for every single inch of deception it could have. So in this case, a swing cut is a very deceptive move and can be applied to a very, very wide range of techniques. Thank you guys for being part of the PK Card Academy. I hope you guys got something from that, and I hope to see you guys on the next lesson.